Send me the link. Hi, everybody. It's Ann Brennan. We are with ASMM Small Business Connections. And I started this a little differently because quite honestly, I'll tell you what just happened. I just removed myself from the stream altogether and had to pull back in as the video was going. So, hi, you're on ASMM Small Business Connections. We are the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And our goal here is to give you something you can walk away with that you can put to work in your business. I say this a lot. I listen to Michael Hyatt's Lead to Win, and every single time I listen, I call Anastasia and I say, oh my gosh, Anastasia, we need to. And it's always because I've learned something on that podcast. And that's what I want from this. I want you to learn something. But I also want to bring on small business owners. I've been paying attention, Michael Hyatt and Tim Ferriss and How I Built This. They always bring on these people. They were actually bring on the same guests. You will, if you watch those or you listen to those, it's the same guest every single time. And what they're doing is trying to get people who have a big following. I'm not that concerned about a big following. I'm more concerned about helping the small business owners who can come on here, teach you something, but also maybe get something from it. So, which is actually puts me in a lot in common with today's guest. So, we go to her in 1 minute, but before I do, I want to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor this week is Warrior Music Foundation. Warrior Music Foundation does music lessons and music therapy for veterans and their family. And I always mention that family part because I think we ignore the families of veterans, and we do that too often. And they go through many of the same things that the veterans themselves go through. And I love Warrior Music Foundation and what they're doing. They have, right now, they're in Maryland and in Pennsylvania. They're hoping to go worldwide so that they can support veterans all across the world. It is a really amazing organization. I became a part of it a couple of years ago. I actually sit on the board, and the guy who started it, Michael Kimono, he's been on this show, and he also sits on the board for Burgers and Bands. So we are really symbiotic. We have a really symbiotic relationship. So please do go over to warriormusicfoundation.org. If you're going to run or walk today, it's a great day to do that, and do it as a Warrior 5K. So go over to warriormusicfoundation.org and sign up for their 5K. The money will go towards their program, and it's a really, really worthy cause. We're on episode 93. We're streaming live. I tell you that so you can ask questions. Please ask questions. You have experts on this show, so ask questions, and we can help you be seen on our show that way. Today we have Sarit Arbell from BNI Central Maryland. Hi, Sarit. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I try to rush through that first bit. I'm going to say this, and hopefully Tim Ferriss doesn't listen to this show, but I have to fast forward through the first 5 minutes of his show because he goes on and on and on. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to bring on my guests. So, Sarit, tell us about, because a lot of people who watch the show are in BNIs, but many people don't even know what it's about. So can you tell people what it's about?
Absolutely. BNI stands for Business Network International. It's the biggest and most successful networking organization in the world. We've been around for 36 years, and now they're operating in 74 countries. More than 250,000 members worldwide. And what we do best is we support businesses and help them grow their business and improve their marketing system.
I say it's a little bit, to me, it reminds me a little bit of the Catholic Church in that it is very organized, right? The Catholic Church is, you go in, you know when you're going to stand, you know when you're going to sit, you know when you're going to kneel. And with BNI, you've got that. You go in, you know there's going to be this part of the meeting and the next part of the meeting, and it's all very organized. And I love that because I'm not going to be there for hours and hours. I'm going to be there for my allotted time, and then I'm going to be able to get back into my work. So I think it's something that people don't think about.
Yeah, well, we are staying away from religion or politics as much as possible. So I might have chosen a different
analogy,
but it's very systematic, and that's the beauty. So you can attend the meeting in any language and you will understand what's going on, even if you don't understand the language. So in our region, we have a Korean speaking group. And when I attend, I understand nothing, but I know exactly what is going on. So it's very helpful. And that's why
Yeah.
we've been successful, because there is a system that once you understand how to work in it, your success is proven.
Exactly. And I think that's probably what made it so easy for you guys to pivot during COVID, because you pivoted really quickly. We had in-person meetings. My meeting was 7:30 in the morning. I would be there every I think at the time it was Thursday mornings, because that's before I moved to your region. And I would be there every Thursday morning, 7:30. And we didn't miss a week. When everything shut down, it immediately went over to Zoom. So talk a little bit about some of that, because it seemed easy to me, but that's my end of it. How was it on your end?
Indeed, B&I were extremely strategic about it, and the truth of the matter is that they've been following on what's happening in China. So as executive director, we started to get emails about the situation in China, and to myself, I was like, this is hysteric. Why do I care in the US what's happening in China? But they were right. So they pivoted in China in early January, and then through Europe and Italy. So by the time things got worse in the US, they just decided that everybody worldwide is moving to Zoom, and they bought 10,000 different links from Zoom, and even Zoom said that their stock went up because B&I bought so many links, and it was very, very challenging. However, by the time we were in this process in the US, B&I were so organized. They gave all the leaders exactly, the manual of how to operate it with the exact slides. And it was not an easy process at all, because not all of us are very technical. So some of the presidents and the vice presidents who had to lead that had to do a lot of trainings, and they invested a lot of hours. But that's the proof of a successful process. When it seems easy to the recipients, then it means like something was done right. But definitely acknowledge the leaders in our region, because they carried the heavy load.
Yeah, I've been really amazed. And actually, so this morning in my meeting is on Wednesday mornings, and we were talking about, we have a new secretary treasurer, and she's trying to go through the whole process. It's new to her. And I'm just amazed, because I think I would have said, normally I would take a leadership role at any time. But truthfully, right now, I'd be like, oh, maybe not. Because as tech savvy as I am, watching that process, it's hard. And they are doing an amazing job with it. So it's been great. It's also, I think, become easier to network during COVID. Are you finding that you're able to meet more people because we are going this way?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so much easier to move from one room to the other and maybe put a better top. I always joke and say you don't even have to brush your teeth, But the truth of the matter is that because of that, it's very important to choose the right networking, because you can spend all day long on Zoom and get no value out of it. So I think nowadays, when everybody's on Zoom, it's very important to be very strategic about where you're spending your time. And I don't know about you, but I love networking. So I attend networking events, and there are a lot of networking events that do not have value in them. So, easy is one thing, but effective is another thing. And I think that's a big difference.
Well, and that's actually, I'm going to share a little bit of my story. So I just said I moved chapters, but I actually moved houses during COVID. And I thought, what am I going to do out here? Now I've come out here. I can't go out and meet people. How am I ever going to meet people in Montgomery County? And I joined the B&I Capital Business Alliance. And Brian Lobig, actually, he's watching right now. And I met him first. And it's been absolutely amazing, because first of all, I didn't have to learn anything new. It is a process. I didn't have to learn anything new. I could come here. I knew exactly how the meeting was going to go, but I also knew that to make it effective, I needed to do one-on-ones, right? I needed to meet with people. I needed to be part of extra things, like being a part of the ambassadors here, or joining some of the other things that we like, what is it? Connect Montgomery County, MoCo Connect. But I only learned that because I joined a chapter out here. So it is so very effective. I want to move on and talk about probably the most important thing we talk about at BNI, which is the giver's gain. Talk a little bit about why that's so important to BNI in particular.
I think being a giver is the one secret that people should know when they're thinking about growing their business or growing in general. Zig Ziglar said that the more people you support, the better. And oh, now I'm too excited, so I forgot the. Can you help me there? But the more people that you support, the bigger and more successful you'll be. So the whole idea about networking is that you will be very interested in the other person, and you will be really interested in helping them. And that's the main idea in BNI. And
right.
it's a big difference if you're a giver and if you're a taker. So when I attend a meeting, what I'm constantly looking for is how can I support you and what can I do to help you? And when everybody is outward focused, then everybody gains more, because if I'm thinking about you and you're thinking about me, then we will benefit. It will benefit both of us. And the truth of the matter is that very often it's easier to sell somebody else than to sell ourselves. So on that end, I find it to be really, really easy. And when you are doing it often enough, people start calling you to ask for recommendations. So within my community, people just randomly call me and ask me for referrals. And they say, oh, I know that somebody yesterday from my community called me and said, Sarit, I need an attorney. Can you recommend somebody? And by the time this connection was created, this attorney did not need to convince them that she's good, because I already did that. So networking that way, when you're giving a warm referral from somebody that you're really trusting, then this is a much more efficient way of doing business.
Absolutely. And it is, it's somebody had said to me when I first started in BNI, they're like, I'm not going to give, they say that it can take a year for you to start getting a lot of referrals in BNI. And they're like, so I'm not going to give any referrals until I start getting them. And first of all, after I picked my jaw up off the ground and said, what in the world are you thinking? I said to them, but here's the thing. By giving, you become that person that people call and say, hey, do you have an attorney? And that gives you a certain cachet, really, within your community, that people are like, oh, well, Sarit knows so many people. Let me ask her. And suddenly people are coming to you for maybe different things than what you actually do. But in the end, they eventually start thinking of you as that person, their go-to person. And then your business starts building. That was probably the biggest lesson I learned when I joined. I've always been somebody who wants to give, but what I really saw is how quickly that came back to me when I started doing it in BNI.
Yeah, and you have to do it wholeheartedly, and truly do it, not just kind of pretending to do it, because and when I have a one-to-one with you,
mm-hmm.
and you explain to me exactly what it is that you're doing, it's so much easier for me to refer to you for multiple reasons. One, because now I trust you more, because we build some rapport, we build some relationship. I understand your business a little bit better. And that's one thing. And the second is because now I know exactly what to look for you, because what is a great referral for you as somebody who's doing social media is not necessarily the best referral for somebody else who is doing social media. And that's why the relationship are very, very important. We are doing business with people that we trust and like. I can think of you as a pro, but I don't like you. There is no chance in the world that you will get my referral.
Right, exactly, which is why it's so great going to the same meeting every single week, because you really do get to know everybody in that group. It really, and doing the one-to-ones, if you're not doing the one-to-ones, it just doesn't work nearly as well. So I want to talk about, I read your bio, and one of the things you talked about is empowering others, and it's probably the first thing I noticed about you. So talk a little bit about why that's so important to you.
I feel very passionate about it. And as a matter of fact, with your inspiration, I started my own podcast that's called Choose to Lead. And the truth of the matter is, because for many years I felt that I was under empowered, if you can say so. I did not believe that I really have a lot of value to other people, and it was very difficult for me to accept my own contribution, my own power to give to others. And I invested a lot of time in personal growth. Actually, it's one of my passions, and one thing that I like to invest a lot of time in that. And I read a lot of books of personal growth, and used to go to a lot of seminars. Now I watch, I follow some people that I really enjoy listening to. And I do believe that every person has an ability to contribute to our world. However, most people don't believe that they are capable or that they have something to contribute. And I think that the world is missing out because a lot of people feel that way. So my goal is to empower others and help other people believe in themselves and have a bigger contribution to our world, because I believe that way our world will be a better place. So this is what I'm really investing time in empowering others, and it's beautiful. I see the results in front of my eyes. Very often it's relatively quick, and it's amazing. And especially during this pandemic, it's been really powerful. I mean, a lot of, when the world shut down in March, people wrote to me emails and they said, "I'm done. My business is done." Right. The world has fallen. It doesn't matter if you're doing science or if you're doing, events, whatever it is. People felt like, that's it, we're done. And by empowering them, and helping them go through this difficult moment, there is nothing that satisfies me more when they're saying, "Oh no, I asked one person who wrote an email like that to me, and a couple of months ago, and I said, "How are you doing?" He's like, "My business is back in normal. I'm all good." I believe BNI has helped them be, back.
Yeah.
I mean, pivot back as quickly as they did. But I'm not sure that they remember, how lost they felt several months ago. And to me, this is the biggest gift is that I can give others, that, when they feel despair, I'm capable of showing them that it's it's a very short moment and they will be better.
That it will be okay. Exactly. Actually, so you were talking about, bettering yourself and self-improvement. And one of the things that's really great about BNI are the continuing education units that we do, right? And the podcast and some of the, there's BNI University. Some of the things I've learned on there have been really very, very powerful. But last week we talked about, so Jack Canfield came on the podcast and he talked about this 10-day program. So a bunch of us in our particular chapter are going through this Jack Canfield, the Success Principles 10-day program, right? And one of the things they said on there that I think was so powerful, he said, "I want you to take your life, divide it into 3. Think about the first, maybe 20 years, or the first 15 years, and then the next 15, and then the next 15. And I want you to think about 3 things in each of those times that were huge successes for you, because we too often think about the things we get wrong, right? And we think about the things that are negative about us. And it was really powerful. And I loved listening to you talk about empowering other people. When we said to them, everybody in the group were like, "Okay, tell us at least 1 out of each of those." It was really amazing to see how much people have done, but then to also hear them say, "I had kind of forgotten that about myself. I had forgotten I had achieved that." So I love what you're saying about how much they're achieving during COVID, even though COVID really was scary and has been scary and continues to be scary. So yeah, so that was really great. All right, let's talk about leadership, because you talked about empowering people. And one of the things that I said I noticed about you really quickly is how much you empower people and how much you say, "Here, let's put you in a leadership role." So why is that important to you? Why do you see people and say, "Let's put you in that leadership role"?
For the exact same reasons that I've mentioned earlier, because I truly believe that each and every one of us are born leaders. Some know it from a very early age, and some, finish their life without really believing it. And had I not gone through this process of, personal growth, I would have been one of them. And right now, I can see it in anybody, their potential leadership. So, don't you see it in your kids, right? That when they don't believe, truly, when they don't believe in themselves, we are there and we're saying, you're a leader, and they're looking at you like, where is this coming from? So it's true about everybody. And very often we see in others something that they don't see in themselves. And I feel that as a leader of my region, this is my opportunity to help them see this in themselves. And I keep on pushing them forward. We have one specific leader in our region. He is amazing. And, I keep on pushing him forward. And, the first thing you think about him is that he's shy and he's quiet. And, now now he's running this spin networking event, and he's got more than 150 people registered to it. It's happening tomorrow, Connect MoCo. And he got, the whole Montgomery County just connected in a couple of phone calls. And, I know that he was amazed himself how quickly people agreed to participate in this. But this is exactly the kind of things that, he said, I was shocked how quickly people connected with me. And I'm like, I wasn't,
It was, Dan Halhowski, right? That's who did that. And it was, if you're watching this right now, because it is Wednesday, and so this happens tomorrow, Thursday, if you get a chance to come to this, it was one of the most powerful events I have been to. I met so many people, and it's speed networking, but I just felt like, completely connecting to people very, very quickly in this. It was wonderful.
Absolutely.
So,
it's taking place tomorrow. And yesterday I spoke with Dan. He had 140 people registered, and it's only the second time that it's taking place. So by the time, it will take place, I would not be surprised. But that all started with him texting me and said, we should do something like this. I'm like, okay, will you lead it? He's like, I said, I'll support you. I'll, BNI is sponsoring this event, but, and I kept on pushing him forward. And I hope that now he sees what an amazing leader he is.
Well, and that's something that I hope you see the power you just did. So you created something, and it was so many people think, you could have thought that, oh, I don't want to start another networking group. I need to get people into mine, right? But you didn't do that. We have Brian Lobig on here right now. He's commented a couple of times, but he's got this whole mentality of abundance. And I think you clearly have that. You could have seen that as competition for you, or you could have said, oh, well, I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with that as well. But no, you put Dan in that position, and that was really, really very powerful. So I hope you see that. I hope that you do see that.
Thank you.
I
want to be not very modest about it, but to me, BNI is such a strong networking organization that I'm not afraid of competition. It's so brilliant, and it's so well established that there isn't any other organization like this in the world, and it is for a reason. So I believe in collaborations, and I believe in abundance, and the more the merrier. It's about building relationship. Whatever, if you don't want to meet on a weekly basis, you want to meet once a month. Here is a Connect MoCo is a great opportunity for you. But if you're serious about it and you want to take it to the next level, we are here for you. And I will be happy to refer people that say BNI is not for them to somebody else.
Right. Well, and you stepped right into my next slide here, which is BNI is more than referrals. It is relationship. And actually, somebody made a comment. Let me look real quick. Nahid said, during COVID, we need relation-based networking more than ever. And that is it. It is so much more than just a referral. It is about building relationships. That's the difference.
It's about building relationship, and more than that, it's knowing that somebody got your back. It's technically a community that you've created, and within our region. You wrote a very compelling article talking about the mental importance of having a networking organization. but building relationship and being positive and supportive are some of the core values of BNI. So we all have life, and COVID is definitely life out there. But when we come to the meeting, we bring our best version of ourselves, and we are there to support each other. And, we have had many members who have been sick and have had challenges in their families, and, have experienced death and life-threatening situations. And that's the best feeling, is to have somebody who's got your back, somebody who's, sending you cards, somebody who's making phone calls. And, when people went, we had a member who lost his job during COVID, and the whole chapter got together, and they're like, we're not losing you. They helped him establish his new business within 1 week. I mean, he's choking when he's talking about it. And within 1 week, he had a new business, and he's experiencing abundance more than ever before in his life. So, somebody got your back is a big one, especially during these times.
Absolutely. It was funny because my husband, he's in corporate America. The networking thing is not something he does, right? And I started my business in August. I joined BNI in October of 2016, 17, I don't remember. Anyway, 16. And 3 months later, I had major surgery, completely surprised, major surgery. And my husband was shocked by the number of phone calls he received from members of my chapter saying, hey, what can we do? How can we help? And it's huge to have that, somebody who has your back that way, especially if you're a small business. And for me, I was by myself. A lot of people start their businesses as solopreneurs, but you're not alone when you do this. It's huge.
It's very true. Being a business owner is very lonely. And sometimes a salesperson, you don't have to necessarily own the business, but it's very lonely. And here you have somebody that can help you. And one of the strengths of BNI is, let's say I passed a referral to you, and my best friend, and something happened. You weren't able to close the deal. So it's an opportunity for you to come back to me and say, Sarit, what happened? Why didn't it close? So I can tell you multiple things. Either she decided to pivot, or she's getting a divorce and she's not interested right now. Her mind is somewhere else, or your price was too high. Whatever it is, it's a great opportunity for you to really understand what happened. And where else do you have it in this world? That somebody can give you an honest answer, what happened, and make you change the next time that you have a similar opportunity.
Absolutely. And actually, I want to mention one other benefit of being in a group like BNI, and it's mentorship. I started this business with a business card, and then literally that's what I had, as a business card. And I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't even know what I didn't know. But by joining BNI and meeting people who had been in business on their own for 25 years, I started gathering all this information. It really does help in a way that you can't even describe.
I agree. I've learned so many things that are not necessarily related to my business. For example, writing and having an estate. I have elder kids, and I remember one estate attorney said, if your kid is over 18 and you don't have a power of attorney for them, then if something happens to them, nothing will, you're not entitled to get medical information about them. And I'm like, really? I didn't know that. I immediately rushed to have a power of attorney for my kids because, I never thought about it. So you learn so many other things that are important to know, and you may haven't thought about it. So being part of this group of professionals, and the truth of the matter is that because people in BNI are being vetted, they are usually above average kind of members. So, you have the best professionals in the chapter, and to have an attorney that you just can pick up the phone and get their brain, sometimes we have a 3 minutes question that we need to ask somebody, but here you have a team that is there to help you and support you. This is a great advantage, which goes way beyond, beyond networking.
Absolutely. I wanted to say, you talked about the vetting process. One of the things that I say to people, I'm like, I want you to come visit my chapter, but I don't want you to join my chapter until you've visited other chapters, because it's so important you find one that fits you. But once you find the one that fits you, it's just the nicest feeling. You actually look forward to, getting up and going to a meeting at 7:30 in the morning, right? So
yeah, it's true.
yeah.
All the chapters have the same system, but because it's different personalities, then you do have different personalities of chapters, and it's very accurate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, so one of the things we always ask, what are your favorite books? And I want to give you a chance before we get off to tell me what your favorite books are. We talked about networking, but you said there's one book in particular that sort of changed your life.
Yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was definitely the book that changed my life. I read it about 20 years ago, and I was a beginner entrepreneur, I'd say, but it really changed my life on many levels, because I understood that the belief, of going to school, having okay grades, and keeping in school until you find a good job is not necessarily the only way to live your life. And since then, I've become a very enthusiastic entrepreneur, and I've been following Robert Kiyosaki, and it's really changed my life, because truthfully, it's impacted how I speak with my children. They're now at college age, and I'm saying, before you're automatically going to college, I want you to know exactly why you're doing it and what it is that you're passionate about. And so that was definitely one book that changed my life. And I'm forever grateful to Robert Kiyosaki for writing it.
And I haven't read it. And I have 4 books going right now. So I read quite a bit. So I'm now going to have to add that to my list and put it on my bookshelf. So you had 2 others. We talked about How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's Zig Ziglar too, isn't it?
No, it's Dale Carnegie.
Oh, dear. Okay. And then Giver's Gain, the BNI story.
Yeah.
Which we would be remiss if we didn't mention that. So that's Ivan Misner.
Yeah, that's the book that's written by Dr. Ivan Misner, who founded BNI. He's still, very, very active with BNI, and we listen to the podcast that you have just mentioned. That I always think I wish I was as brilliant as Dr. Misner. And the truth of the matter is that he started BNI because he lost his biggest client, and he just thought of a creative way of getting more referrals. And he got a few friends, and he said, hey, let's get together and pass referrals to each other. And it's become so successful that more and more people wanted to join. And then they said, sorry, we already have a realtor in our chapter. We cannot recommend 2 realtors. Why won't you start your own chapter? And long and behold, 36 years later, we have almost 10,000 chapters worldwide, and we keep on growing. So
right.
It's just
and it is incredible. I love the story that out of something that you could see as a negative, something positive came, because I think we see this over and over and over in our chapter. I see it over and over and over in my business. So you've just got to keep pushing forward and see what happens next. So Sarit, tell us how people can, first of all, find a chapter, and how they can learn more about BNI in general.
So you can go to bni.com and learn more about BNI, and just put your zip code or your location and find a chapter that's within your area. And after that, visit more than one chapter. Right now, all chapters meet on Zoom, or the majority of the chapters in the country meet on Zoom. But I highly recommend that you will find a chapter that's located where it's convenient to you, because we hope that soon enough we will be able to go back to in-person. And quite honestly, Zoom is efficient, but giving somebody a hug, is something that I miss the most. And or a handshake, or feel the energy, or this little chit chat that you have before and after the meeting. Sometimes really great things can come out of it. So it's really, really easy. So wherever you are in the world, just check out bni.com. You will find something.
Yep, absolutely. And last year I went to New Zealand. I ended up not going to this meeting, but I had somebody find out I was coming, and they said, oh, come to our meeting. And I almost did, but I was in New Zealand only for, I think, 14 days. So, you had to take advantage of that. So, all right, give me 1 minute, Sarit. I'll be right back. I want to tell everybody what we have coming up next. All right. So Monday we have Nathan Greenberg. And interestingly, I found Nathan through Brian Lobig, who is in my BNI. He said, oh, you should meet this guy. He does what we do, but he does it on the West Coast. And I started talking to Brian Greenberg. He's going to talk about marketing your business, but this is going to be a really interesting one because I want you to think about the companies who have so much compliance that they say, I just can't use social media. I can't do digital marketing. He specializes in that end of it. So if you're a financial planner, if you are, if you're a banker, there are certain companies that really have a hard time with compliance and they have a hard time being on digital marketing. He's going to talk about how to go about marketing your business if you're in those positions. I want to remind you, please, to subscribe. You can subscribe wherever you're listening to podcasts, but I'm putting the ticker across the bottom, youtube.com/BrennanAnnie. My kids think I'm a big nerd because I have yet to hit 1,000 subscribers. Help me out here, folks. Subscribe to me on YouTube and help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Quite honestly, that's how we're going to monetize. It's also how we're going to be able to maybe make some money out of this and not have to put so many, we talked earlier about Tim Ferriss. I love his show, but he has so many different sponsors that it's very difficult to get all the way through the show. I don't want to have to do that. So if you guys can help us out so we can continue to do this, I'd appreciate it. We had a ton of people on here today, and I'm just going to brag about my chapter because I think most of them were from BNI Capital Alliance this morning. So that was really great. I really appreciate everybody who tuned in, especially from my chapter. Thank you so much for doing that. They're awesome, right? So, Sarit, you, I didn't say this in the beginning, but you jumped in because I had a guest today, Michael from Warrior Music Foundation, and he lost his mom. And so he's at her funeral and can't be here. But you jumped in very quickly and saved the day. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure being here, Anne. And you know, you are an inspiration to me every time we speak. And I feel like I want to have another one-to-one with you. It will be the third one, I think, in a very short period of time. I mean, I feel that whenever we meet, I get inspired and I learn so much from you. So thank you very much for everything that you're doing.
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I've got to go listen to your podcast. I didn't realize you had it up and going yet. So I'm excited about doing that. So,
today
all right.
The second one that's going to be up. So it's okay. It's not as quick as I wanted, but you know, I have to get over my own shadows and fears. So thank you for the push and the inspiration.
Well, I'm glad you're doing it. Thank you. You stick around for just a minute. We're going to say goodbye to everybody else. I'll see everybody else Monday. If you guys have questions in between, reach out to us at asmmdigital.com. We'd love to talk to you. Take care. Bye-bye.